Welcome back to Cold Combat Science. Today we're going to continue the beginner series I've been working on. Today we're going to go over 2 escapes from mount. Just like on the side control escapes, we're going to do one where we get off of our back and get up on the top position, and then one where we recover to a closed guard position from the bottom. So I'm going to have Diego start in mount. And my first objective here is to get Diego's hands to the mat. So let's actually turn a little bit so you can see. What I'm gonna do to get his hands to the mat is I'm gonna put one foot heel by my butt and the other thigh into his tailbone. With that, I'm gonna be able to bridge up and pop my knee into his lower back, and that's gonna force him to brace himself here. Once I get his hands on the mat, I'm gonna take one of my arms and reach in between his 2 arms as posts, and then I'm gonna overhook his arm and collapse his elbow here. Once I have his elbow trapped, I've removed his post to his right side. Now I'm gonna take my ankle and trap his foot on that same side. So now I've stopped him from stepping his foot out. If I don't have his ankle trapped and I try to bridge and roll here, he can step his foot out. So I go here, he steps up, he's gonna be able to stop that. If I keep my ankle trapped over his ankle, then I can prevent him from posting, and I'll be able to knock him over to the top position. Once I get on top, they're likely to close their guard, and I can get my posture and start working on a pass. Now, another option on this bridge and roll from bottom mount is I can clasp my hands together around his back. So I'm gonna be on inside position, a one-legged bridge with my knee popping. I bring his hands to the mat, then I'm gonna shoot my arm in between his arms, trap his elbow, and then I can connect my hands and collapse his elbow at the same time, removing his post with his arm, and then I trap his foot, bridge my hips up, and then I can roll to the top position, and then again, get my hands on top of my partner. So that's bridge and roll from the bottom of mount. Now we're gonna go over a technique called the elbow escape. So if my opponent, my partner, is in a high mounted position where his thighs are raising my elbows up away from my rib cage, I first need to drop my hips flat to the mat in between his legs, and then I need to start shoulder walking to get my elbows against my own side. I have to pick a side for the elbow escape. So for me, I'm gonna pick my left side. I'm gonna straighten out my left leg and drop it flat between his 2 legs. If his ankles are crossed underneath, I have to use my hips to push my hips to the mat and then drop my leg flat. Once I have my leg flat, I'm gonna shift to that side with my elbow inside of his knee. My top arm is gonna frame his hips, and I can use my hands to reinforce my frames by connecting them. The concern here is giving up my top elbow across his center line where he can pass my arm and go to my back. So if I put my elbow too far, he's gonna be able to take my back from here. So I need to make sure that this top elbow stays across the waist and my bottom elbow is inside the knee. Let's turn a little bit more. So with my leg that is straight and flat on the mat, I'm trying to pull my knee to my elbow. And you can see I've created a little tension here on his shin. There's a small gap of space in front of his ankle where he's not able to put his leg flat, and that's where I'm gonna use my outside heel to pick his foot up, and now I've trapped his foot into what I call a 3/4 mount, or a quarter guard. My next step is to create another elbow-knee connection on the bottom side, just like we did when escaping side control. My goal with the elbow-knee connection is to float his knee off of the mat. So as I bring my elbow down and my knee up, I've now floated his knee and created a little off balance for him. After I get the knee up, I want to eat the knee. So that means my bottom leg is going to come up and over his kneecap. So if I go for my elbow, I can even use my hand as well. I'm going to push his knee down into my half guard, eat the knee. Now at this point, I'm facing the wrong way. So I have on my left hip and shoulder. I need to immediately push the knee and turn flat and back in. Once I hit my right side, I can pummel my arm for the underhook and settle for a half guard, or I can take what is now my bottom arm, my right arm, push his knee open, bring my knee to my chest, and then I'm in the same position as when we were recovering guard from side control, where I can extend my bottom leg, move his leg out of the way, and then close my guard and bring his posture down. Okay, so let's hit the elbow escape one more time. My partner's in a high mount. I need to drive my elbows down, bridge my hips up, and shoulder walk to get his hips on top of my hips. Once my elbows are to my body, I'm gonna pick a side, and that's where I tuck my elbow inside of his knee and lay my leg straight and flat on the mat. Make sure that your top arm doesn't get caught across their waist, and then start driving the knee down with your elbow as you try to bring your bottom knee up, causing tension on their shin. My outside leg is now going to reach heel in front of his instep, and I'm prying that leg up and into my guard. At this point, I've technically escaped. If he were to repass this foot in a tournament, he could score points again for the guard pass, but I'm gonna try to go from controlling his ankle to his knee to his hips. So I create that elbow knee connection on the bottom. I floated his knee. That allows me to eat the knee, and I have to move quickly when I eat the knee to extend and lay flat, and then turn onto my side. This is where I can lock my legs into a half guard and pummel for the underhook and half guard, or I can push that knee open with my now bottom side arm, bring my knee to my chest, get my head away, and then extend and recover the closed guard. So now we've covered how to escape side control, how to escape mount. These are two different ways for beginners. In both videos, I'm offering one where you build your base up and get on top, and one where you stay on your back and recover the guard. So if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what kind of videos you want to see next.